Well, hello and welcome to the InnoFrontier podcast. My name is Jeff, and I'm so grateful to be here with Gary Ekker, who's been somebody who I've known for years. He's Vice President of Engineering over at DeliciousSAI, and excited to get into that. I think that the biggest thing about Gary that's important to know is that we have an office next to theirs, and he is always there. He's there in the morning. He's there at night. I don't know when he sleeps. I don't know when he eats, but I know he's always there. And there was one day, I think last week, where I didn't see you, and I was like looking around. I was like, oh, maybe he didn't come in today. And then I went to go grab a booth, and you were in one of the booths. So I was like, oh,
yeah. Oh, okay. No. Yeah, I thought maybe it was we were traveling on business a couple of days last week as well. So I thought maybe you got me then. But
oh no, I didn't even catch you then. But of course,
I wasn't slacking off.
No, never. No, that's not your MO. Well, where I'd really like to start is in something that we both kind of share, and that's with you being a river guide. I think kind of an interesting pathway somebody took in terms of tech. So would love to hear maybe like a little bit about when you first got interested in technology, and then at what point the river came in. What was technology before the river? Was it after the river? How did how did all of that happen?
Yeah, definitely technology first. I started programming back in 1980 on a Commodore Vic 20. It was the latest and greatest back then. You had to save everything off to a tape drive.
Oh God.
And no so in BASIC, it was it was a slow process. I'm not so old that I've used punch cards, but definitely use tape drives.
Oh, that's awesome. And so doing that, you grew up. Where did you grow up?
So I grew up here in Utah, great. In Springville. Yep. And
great.
I've been here pretty much my whole career.
Oh, that's great. And so, growing up very ingrained in the tech community, like back then there wasn't a whole lot of people in Utah or in Utah County. You lived in Springville. The U is obviously, the University of Utah is really a really great place for technology. What was it like in Utah County? Were there anybody else that was interested in tech? Like who taught you this stuff?
Yeah, sure. So tech, Utah was actually Provo-Orem area was a big tech center. So Novell, who basically invented a lot of networking technology back in the 80s, and WordPerfect, who is a competitor to Microsoft Office, they eventually merged. And so pretty much anybody, my age that worked in tech worked for one of those two companies if they lived in Utah. So,
oh, that's great. And you did work for Novell, is that right?
I did. Yep. I started my career at Novell, spent 11 years there. I can't believe I worked at a single company for that long. People don't do that in tech much anymore, but that's where I got my start. It was a fabulous experience. We acquired a couple open source companies. So Zoomian Desktop, which was a really small startup in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and then later SUSE Linux. So got early exposure to open source, which has had a profound impact on my career, and something I'm really grateful to have been introduced to so early.
And to kind of back up just a little bit, at what point did working as a river guide happen? Was that like a college thing or?
It was. So I worked as a river guide during the summers while I was in college, finishing up. And it was fabulous. I worked for the better company in Moab. You worked for Western. I worked for Worldwide. So there's a little bit of competition there, at least in the 90s when I was involved in it. And it's been great. I've been running rivers ever since then. It's a big part. We go every year as a family multiple times. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Where do you go every year?
Well, now it's hard. It depends on where you can get a permit. It's all lottery based, right? I'm sure you feel the pain as well. The barrier to entry is fairly low, so with a growing population in the West, it's becoming more and more difficult. But we always try and get a permit in Idaho on the Middle Fork or Maine Salmon, and then start backing up from there. Cataract Canyon, often ends up being the choice, and that's the only place that's still easy to get a permit.
Right. No, Cataract Canyon is great. I did it a couple times this last year. Uh, so much fun. I always felt like, for me, because I'm in technology, I always have my stuff with me unless I'm on the river. Unless I'm on the
Yeah.
river, that's the only place that people can't get me. Now, granted, I know I could stuff a sat phone, but I don't go that far. And anyway, it's the only place where you can truly be alone, especially if you work in tech. Because somebody like you who's always on, I'm sure that you can welcome the reprieve of not being able to be accessed.
Yep. Almost all my vacations involve getting away completely, either hunting, running the river, or going somewhere sailing. So
Oh,
I look
interesting.
forward to the downtime. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. So, spending 11 years at Novell, you saw the company change in humongous ways. Where was the company at when you left? What was your responsibility at that point? Yeah, and then what was it that kind of caused you to change?
Yeah, I was working as an engineer, and actually no, I was working as a project manager at that point, a technical project manager on their Linux desktop uh, product, and managing that. I did an MBA program, an executive MBA program at BYU, and finished up, and then moved to, at the time it was Fusion.io, so
Hmm.
a startup in the Salt Lake area, doing solid state storage, high speed solid state storage devices for hyperscalers like Facebook and others. Facebook and Apple were both big customers for us there.
What was the travel like at that point? Because I'm assuming that you're having to go on location at some point, or did you not?
At Fusion.io.
Yeah.
Or yeah, I didn't travel too much when I was at Novell. Sousa, I traveled pretty extensively, a lot to Europe and Asia. We were pre-installing our Linux desktop product on desktop laptop computers from, like, with Dell and HP and other customers, Samsung in Korea. So I spent a fair amount of time going to, and then I built a team of engineers and project managers in located where the device manufacturers were, the ODMs, as well as the OEMs. So I had people like in Houston at HP, and then in Taiwan, Beijing, and in Korea.
Oh, wow, that's a lot. Those are a long time to get there, to get to some of those
Yeah,
places.
yeah.
Uh, so you spent a lot of time as, either a program manager or project manager, um, or even a product manager, I guess. I mean, how helpful was it having the technical background? Because I meet a lot of people that are very interested in eventually getting to those types of roles who don't come from a technical background. I've worked with some people who don't have a technical background and are a product manager. But for you, what was it like having the technical background and stepping into one of those roles?
Yeah, it was definitely helpful, especially the ability to communicate with the engineering teams, understand the challenges, the technical issues, and work on feasibility analysis, and be able to quickly determine if features that a customer is asking for, or executives are feasible, with at least within a reasonable time frame. So that was very beneficial in success in those. And then I've always stayed pretty technical in a lot of those, and being able to bring data analytics skills and some of that to the table in those roles was always very helpful as well in making data driven decisions.
Oh, that's great. Um, you had a stint where you left Fusion, but then you came back. Walk us through a little bit of that story.
Yeah, I was recruited to go work for the commercial sponsor of Ubuntu Linux, and worked as a product manager there for I don't know, it wasn't that long, maybe like 18 months. And then things were changing. Some colleagues at Fusion.io, I was kind of exploring other opportunities at the time. Um, some former colleagues at Fusion.io heard that I was uh, maybe interested in leaving, and got recruited to go back and work as a program manager there, which was an exciting time. We Shortly after that, we were acquired by Sandisk, and they've been working primarily selling consumer grade NAND flash, and had been
Mm.
working to get higher revenue, higher margin by selling enterprise flash storage. They'd acquired a couple of companies and attempted to do it. Hadn't really been successful. Acquired Fusion.io, and then with our architecture, we were able to, and I led that project, but I wasn't the smart guy that built all the tech. But we were quickly able to integrate SanDisk NAND flash onto our high-speed SSDs and get them into the enterprise SSD market.
Oh, that's so interesting. Did the company? So it sounded like the company got really integrated into SanDisk. It didn't, did it operate more independently? Because it sounds like it really got integrated.
No, yeah, it was wholly integrated into part of their enterprise division.
Oh, that's great. And as you've watched the work that you guys did there, has it endured fairly? Has it held up fairly well? As you look at yeah, go for it.
Yeah, Fusion was super exciting. We were a company of around 800 people.
Mm.
So, we'd done an IPO. It was a lot of fun. SanDisk was a great company to work for. They were, around 8,000 total, with fabs in Asia and Japan, and then manufacturing in China and Malaysia. Really, really great company to work for. They did their executives did a lot to give back to the employees, the community. And then SanDisk was acquired by Western Digital, which was around 78,000 employees. And so, as companies get larger, making a difference, having that personal satisfaction of making a difference every day sort of diminishes. There's a lot more process and overhead. So, nothing bad about Western Digital, but, just that environment, I found that I tend to thrive more in a smaller environment where I can see the impact I'm making, every day.
Well, I completely get that. And the next job that you go for is StorageCraft Technology. Could you just tell us a little bit about the company, and then a little bit about your role that you had while you were there?
Yeah, sure. So StorageCraft, they did online backup services for companies. What happened is Fusion.io, SanDisk, Western Digital. Western Digital actually closed our office in Salt Lake City, and I led a team there that was kept on for a year and a half after the office was closed, working
Hmm.
remotely from home offices, and then that wrapped up kind of at the end of COVID, and then so back to the river thing. My COVID project, I built a wooden boat, a dory, whitewater dory,
No, you
and
didn't.
rode that down the Grand Canyon. So my job ended at Western Digital in June of 2020. Did the Grand Canyon in August of 2020, right at the end of COVID, which was perfect. Hardly anyone else was on the
Oh
river.
my gosh. I did
Yeah.
a trip in July of that year, and it was so cool because we saw two other trips the entire 277 miles, no helicopters, no nothing. I mean, I was
Wow.
like, I'm seeing this thing like how John Wesley Powell saw it, but you were in a dory. Holy cow,
Yeah.
that you made.
It was
Oh, that's so
it was
cool. Did
fabulous.
you,
Yeah.
how many people went with you?
It was just I don't know, maybe like 10 or 12 of us went
Okay.
down, 4 boats. Um, a couple of our friends brought their children. We left ours at home. It was great. And just a fabulous, fabulous 14 days. And then to
Oh,
get back to your
geez, I can only
question, so
imagine.
I came back. We had that trip planned. I knew my job was ending. I had like 2 years notice that my job was ending, and so when I got back, well, I had to get some archery hunting in. It was archery hunt started, and then contacted a buddy that I worked with at Fusion.io, and started working for him at StorageCraft as a director of engineering, and leading their cloud services team. Um, pretty interesting project they were working on. They were moving around 20 petabytes of customer backup data from an on-premises data center into Google Cloud Platform as the host. And so I was helping
Well,
lead
that's a
that
scary job.
project for my time there, moving all of our services into the cloud and then doing the data migration, which we started. And then I left. So they were acquired by ArcServe, another private equity group, who their sort of process, they acquire, train, replacement engineering offshore at a lower cost. And that wasn't a process I was really interested in. And knew the guys here at DeliciousAI. It was a great time for me to jump over and join them. And that's what I'm doing now.
And so tell us a little bit about how you got introduced to the people at DeliciousAI and to Brad, and also about what DeliciousAI does.
Right. So I worked with Brad Curtis. He's one of our co-founders and CEO. I worked with him at the Fusion IO Sandisk Western Digital, and I actually knew him back in university years before. And so we knew each other pretty well. One of my neighbors is a board member and investor at Delicious. And so I ran into him at the park, actually, near our home. And we were chatting, and he was telling me about some of the things they were struggling with at DeliciousAI. And I was very interested in the problems they're trying to solve. And just immediately reached out to him and Brad, and got an interview set up and joined a few weeks later. And so what we do at DeliciousAI is we built, and this started about a year before I joined. I joined in June of 21, I want to say, about 2.5 years ago. We've built a data acquisition intelligence platform that leverages Apple's LiDAR-enabled iPhone and iPad Pros for data acquisition. And we use this data. Our primary customer space is in consumer packaged goods, so retail, and we help those customers optimize their business and drive increased profitability. So it's been really exciting to be involved in. This is my first time being involved in machine learning, 2D and 3D computer vision. So our other co-founder, Porter Jenkins, he's a professor at BYU. As well as our chief data scientist. He leads the machine learning team and does some amazing work there. And then we built this app. We're now starting to scale across multiple customers. So it's been sort of an exciting journey. This is the first time in my career where I've been, basically uniquely focused on one venture. And one thing. And so, I mentioned earlier, you see me here a lot. We're here a lot, and have a great team, fabulous engineers. So it's been really exciting work.
I can attest to that. You guys do. No, it's so exciting. And I've actually, had a chance to use your platform and to test your platform. And granted, I know it's been a little while and that you guys have done a whole lot since then. But I think it's so exciting and such a no-brainer as far as your potential customers to buy. You guys have a pretty big premium, at least it seems from the outside, of working together in person almost all of the time. Can you walk us through how that decision kind of came about of having the teams coming into the office and to have that there, and what are some of the benefits, and how did that decision happen?
Yeah, certainly it improves in terms of efficiency and collaboration. We've had some big problems to solve in this space that haven't been solved before, and so it's been really helpful to be co-located and work closely together. Of course, we're not all here. We use Sava Development, and you were a co-founder there. Our quality and test automation engineers are all offshore in Nepal, and do fabulous work for us. And so we're not all here. They're a big part of our team. And I wanted to congratulate you. I saw in the news that Sava was acquired by Global Devs. I think that closed this week or something. It was just recently,
It
right?
did, yeah. It closed on last Friday, and just kind of was waiting for global devs to make the announcement, and when they did, and I can promise you, no interruption in service will be happening. Everybody, is still the transition has been happening over the course of a couple months, but that's been a crazy experience. Hearing your experiences of being at companies when they've been acquired, that's never happened to me before. I've never done that. And it's been an interesting experience. Thank you for that. And I really believe in Seva. I believe that they're going to be doing great work, and excited for global devs. When you guys are all together at the office, you mentioned that you guys are trying to do something that nobody's ever done before, and so having a premium on in person and that kind of spontaneity. um, what would be a good use case, you think, for total remote work? For any of these companies, because you've also been on the other side where you have had a remote work.
Sure.
If you're not doing something uber innovative, could you see there being a use case for being, or is there just always this element of being together that you think is important, kind of regardless of the company?
Yeah, I think our company puts a big value on in person collaborative work. As a business grows, I don't think it's feasible long term. We're still a pretty small group, less than 20 total employees, and certainly as a company grows, and you have more customers, especially as you move into the global economy. We're chasing North America right now, so it's pretty simple to be here, but certainly going to expand. Um, Use cases, I think, is we have hired occasionally. We've had other people working remotely for the company, and that's generally when we have a real specific need in a knowledge area. Then you definitely need to go for the experts wherever they are, and those experts may not want to move to Lehigh, Utah, and come into your office, right? And so we've done that. I've been very successful in other companies building global teams, and especially India, China, Nepal now with Seva Development, who is a key partner for us. It's very important. I think that's one of the exciting things about technology now is that technology is in place where we can collaborate much better, even when we're remote or when everyone's remote. And having that diversity of backgrounds and cultures and experience can also be a large driver of innovation in a company. So I'd say it's really dependent on the problem you're solving and business needs, where you choose to go. And there's pros and cons to both of those, I think.
Yeah, powerful way of looking at it. No, I love that. As you look into the future, both kind of short and long term for Delicious AI, can you share anything that's coming up that you're really excited about? Some of the things you're doing. Obviously, we know that there's some secret sauce in there that you're probably not wanting to share, but if there's anything you could, would be happy to hear about some of the things coming.
Yeah, sure. Some of the things that my team's been working on recently, we're just wrapping up, is we just implemented a multi-instance architecture so we can run a separate virtual private cloud per large enterprise customer. This is something that's important for security, data governance, data privacy reasons, and that's been a huge effort for us. We're just completing that and onboarding a couple of other large customers. And so right now we're kind of we're moving through. We've proven out the business value of the product that we've built in terms of doing 2D image recognition and 3D counting using LiDAR technology. And so now, as we prove out that product, we're extending the product in a couple of ways, but now really focused on just growing and expanding to multiple customers.
Awesome. No, thank you so much. Well, Gary, Can't thank you enough for coming on here. Thank you for, your friendship over the years. Thanks for your example that you're setting. And I'm really excited to hear everything that's coming for you guys. And it means a lot that you'd come on here and share your story. So thank you.
Yeah, likewise. And we should get on the river together one of these days.
Oh yeah, you're gonna have to teach me how to row a dory, because that's an art.
All right.
That is an art.
Well, yeah, let's do Cataract Canyon next summer.
All right, I'm in. Thank you so much,
All right.
Gary. We'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jeff.